Buongiorno amici, ciao a tutti. Sono BC and welcome back to the TueZday Garage. You know, I've been taking some time to actually kind of go back and look at what this series is, what it was supposed to be about, and what it has been about. And I realized that, yeah, I'm taking you guys on this journey about what I'm doing, but the whole point is to make like a video diary of what you need to do to accomplish this conversion, to accomplish this build. So I want to make sure that we kind of get away from some of the cosmetic things that I'm doing, because those aren't really necessary. Painting the engine bay, all that stuff, that's not really necessary. So we need to keep moving forward with the work. And today we're gonna pick up exactly where we left off, which last time was with the transmission. So the last time we talked about the plate here and about the pivot ball and throwout bearing and the clutch fork and all that other stuff. And what we're doing, if you could see here, I've actually got everything laid out, is first we need to install the clutch slave cylinder. And this is from an RB25, and this is necessary because the RB26 one was a pull type clutch slave cylinder. This one's a push type. So we need to do that. We need to switch that out. And we were also going to upgrade from the Z32 pressed sheet steel, which is, yeah, very hollow sounding, to a solid, I think this is a Z33 clutch fork assembly. And it also comes with this Chromoly pivot ball. So we're going to do that as well. Got the throwout bearing here. As always, I've got the manual with me, so I know exactly what torque specs. But here's the thing. In order to get all this to work, as we talked about before, we have to actually tap and die the system. So here is the stock 300 plate, and you can see that right here is where the pivot ball is. We actually have to take it out and put it into the hole that's right next to it right here, if you can see that right there. But it's too small right now in its current configuration, so I've got to drill that out and tap it. Now, this is my extra plate. We're gonna use this one as a practice piece just to make sure that we have all the right parts, we're using the right pitch and all that good stuff. So let's do that and then make sure that we're ready, because we have 3 more holes to do, and if we mess any of those up, we gotta buy more parts, we gotta start over, and we don't wanna do that. So, here we go. Aha. Back in business. We struck bottom. Let's back it out and see how it threads. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Exactly right. Cool beans, man. Cool beans. Which means that we did it correctly. We got the right pitch, the right thread. So let's see. For information, this is really tiny writing. 10 millimeters by 1.50. And the drill bit used, it actually says here on the tap to use a drill bit of a 35/64. Now, honestly, I searched forever and could never find that size. I don't even think that size is a thing, but this is what we ended up using, 11/32 inch drill bit. And yeah, we are spot on, man. And there's no, I mean, it's fine. It's perfect. It's exactly right. So we have to repeat this in this location here and in these 2 locations here and here. So let me knock that out, and yeah, man, we'll move forward. Woo. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and mount the chromoly ball onto the plate. I'm using a little bit of thread lock just because we are cutting our own threads, and it's a low strength thread lock, so I just want to make sure it's good to go. But as always, we consult the manual. Manual says that we need to torque it down to 23 to 31 foot-pounds. I've got my handy dandy torque wrench already set. Come on. There we go. Torque to spec. All right, so as always, right, we want to try and provide information for those people that are not intuitive car guys, you know, but want to learn. And so let's talk about how a clutch works really quick. So when you push your clutch pedal, there's a hydraulic line that runs from the clutch master cylinder to this clutch slave cylinder. When the fluid is pushed through, this has a rod that, let's see if I can show you real quick. So this rod right here is going to push out, okay? Now, what happens inside the clutch? So this is the throwout bearing. There's a huge bearing right here, and this is what interacts with the actual clutch plate itself. This is going to sit right here on this shaft as so, and this is the clutch fork. The clutch fork is going to go through this boot to the outside of the transmission, like so, and this fork is going to sit right here on the pivot ball because there's a little place where it does that. Now if you look back out here, you'll see that the fork lines up perfectly with the slave cylinder. Back to the bearing. This bearing will actually sit right on the fork, and now whenever you push the clutch in, it pushes the fork back on the outside and pushes this throwout bearing forward. If you see all of that happening, see right there? So it needs to still be lubricated, but this is what is going on inside. And when this goes forward, it pushes on the pressure plate, which then causes the clutch disc to release from the flywheel in the engine, which now separates the combining force of the transmission and the engine. They become two separate things. When you let off the clutch, all of this reverses, the pressure plate clamps back down onto the flywheel, and now your transmission and your engine become one. So, let's put it all together. Aw, yeah. As far as the transmission goes, everything's ready to be installed and everything's finished. The one thing that maybe you did, maybe you didn't see was the actual greasing of the parts. So I'm using wheel bearing grease, axle grease, wheel bearing grease. It all works pretty well as long as it's the kind that's going to stick around, right? Because you don't want stuff that's going to burn up or dilute or, you know, melt away. Also, you know, notably, right, we didn't do anything out of the ordinary by using the Z33. It would be the same procedure if you use the Z32 clutch fork, pivot ball, and all that good stuff, but we went ahead and used the Z33 one. The only difference that I did do is I ordered a brand new boot for the clutch fork, but because this is thicker, the Z33 fork is a little bit thicker, I actually originally had the boot installed the right way because there's actually a little F on it that says front, but I turned it around backwards. I actually mounted the boot on backwards, and if you look here, I think you'll agree that it just looks like it fits way, way better. I think so. So yeah, man, everything is good to go with that. So transmission is done. Now, the one thing that I'm gonna do different than I've seen a lot of people do is most people mount the engine and the transmission together, and then they actually cut the radiator core support and they fit everything in together. I am gonna get this install done without cutting that radiator core support, and I think it's gonna be a little more difficult because I'm gonna have to assemble the transmission under the car. I'm gonna have to put the clutch in under the car. It's gonna be more of a hassle, but I'm trying not to cut my car. So that's the big difference. But anyway, this weekend I hope to be all up in the garage And then probably the next time we're together, we will actually be doing final touches on the engine itself, because I think there's some more water lines, vacuum lines, and stuff like that that I just need to finish up, because I did minimize some things when I did my rebuild of the engine. So we just need to make sure that all of that stuff's ready, because once we put it in, the last thing we want to do is get ourselves in a situation where it's hard to reach things and hard to get to things, and just makes life more complicated and frustrating. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do final prep on the engine, on the RB, and get that ready to drop in. In the meantime, I'll keep doing all the other work on the thing, and then everything's going to come together. I don't know. Anyway, again, as I said at the beginning of this, I've been taking a look back at what we've been doing, where we've been going with this, and ultimately, guys, I think you're tuning into this to know the process. I think you're tuning into this to get the A to Z process of doing this swap. Maybe you're tuning in because you just want to learn something about cars in general. Maybe you're tuning in because you're just, hey, what does BC do in his life, in his garage? Maybe that's what it is. Hopefully this is a mix of all three, but I want to focus primarily on the swap. And so I hope I'm doing that for you. If you have any specific questions, please always feel free to send them to me. I'm always in the comments. I really want to interact with you guys and answer anything that you got. But until next time, that's all for me. Ciao a tutti and aloha. Bye-bye.